1960, Ralph Wilson became an owner in the new American Football League. He located his infant franchise in Buffalo, and the fans quickly made the Bills as much a part of Western New York as chicken wings and beef on weck. Buster Ramsey was the first coach and fathered the franchise through the formative seasons of 1960 and 1961. After 2 years of mixed results, a call went out for Lou Saban. A personality change was in store for the Buffalo Bills. While the rest of the AFL polished gadget plays, Buffalo's number 70, Tom Sestak, concentrated on no-frills defense. The 1962 draft produced linebacker Mike Stratton, a fixture for the next decade on AFL All-Star teams. George Sains was voted the league's outstanding safety 4 straight seasons, a heady player who rarely made a mistake. Number 66, Billy Shaw of Georgia Tech, became a guard of all-pro dimension in either league. And from Canada came Carlton Cookie Gilchrist, a thundering runner and irrepressible character. Tiny Bluffton College's contribution was swift receiver Albert Golden Wheels Dubenian. And the final piece of the playoff puzzle was quarterback Jack Kemp, who directed the Bills' offense with imagination and daring. Buffalo's combination of creative offense and uncompromising defense carried the Bills to a 12-2 regular season record. But Kemp and his young Bills had something to prove.
We were considered a team that couldn't win a big game, although we had just beaten Boston in a very big game a couple weeks before. We had a good team, but no one really thought we were mature enough to win the championship. For me personally, it was a chance to play against the old Chargers, the team from which I had come. So it was kind of a chance to prove myself to those who, for one reason or another, I thought made a mistake.
The day after Christmas, 1964, Buffalo's resolve was as rock-hard as the turf in aging War Memorial Stadium. Tobin Rote's early touchdown pass staked the flashy Chargers to a quick lead. The stage was set for the hit heard round the pro football world.
Stratton just really laid my friend Keith Lincoln out flat, and you could just see the emotion and the passion and the credibility of the Buffalo Bills come together at that point.
A wounded Lincoln was helped from the field, and momentum changed sides as Gilchrist pitched in 122 yards rushing. Jack Kemp orchestrated 4 scoring drives, and the Bills won the AFL championship 20-7 in only their 5th year of existence. A year later, in San Diego's Balboa Stadium, the Bills and Chargers staged a championship rematch. Buffalo's defense smothered the explosive San Diego offense, and the Bills cruised 23-0 to a second consecutive title. Butch Bird's memorable 74-yard punt return was the knockout punch as the Bills stood alone at the AFL summit once more. In 1966, the Kansas City Chiefs were the only hurdle between the Bills and a 3rd straight AFL title. This one to be rewarded by a trip to Super Bowl I. Running back Mike Garrett and company ruined Buffalo's championship run in a 31-7 game that rudely shoved the Bills into reverse. Buffalo slipped under 500 in 1967, and a year later suffered the indignity of a single victory in 14 games. Spirits sagged, but a bright day awaited. 1969, Orenthal James Simpson slipped into jersey number 32, eyed the NFL record book, and proceeded to dominate a decade. He was a comet, swift, brilliant, and full of energy. He had speed and instincts beyond belief. They asked the Almighty to build a running back, and this was his prototype. Lou Saban recognized the gifts and tailored an offense to display them appropriately. Line coach Jim Ringo crafted an offensive front of Foley, Green, McKenzie, DeLamalure, Montler, and the electric company was formed to turn loose the juice. A 1,000-yard season in 1972 whetted Simpson's appetite. A year later, he was insatiable. In just half a season, Simpson reached the rushing milestone that most use to measure a full campaign. The juice was now the focus of the pro football world. Suspense built as he bolted toward Jim Brown's seemingly unreachable record for yards gained rushing in a single season. Number 32 was the man, and 2,000 yards was the magic milestone. December 16th, 1973, a cruel wind whipped Shea Stadium. Snow spit from gray clouds, and temperatures tumbled into the icy digits. It was man against the elements and the odds. A single sentinel at the brink of immortality. There would be no coast-to-coast journeys this day. The yards came in icy chunks until Brown's record became a mere footnote, and O.J. moved into uncharted regions previously reserved for imagination.
And now it's for the 2,000, boys. O.J. running left. O.J. 5 more. There it is. They did it. I just wonder if the three of us at this moment fully realize what it is to watch O.J. Simpson run for 2,000 yards in one season.
In 1974, Simpson's rushing excellence landed Buffalo a playoff spot, their first in 8 years.
Let's go, let's take it in! Get it in the end zone! Take it in, Joe! Take it in, Swanee! Take it in, Swanee!
Buffalo squandered an early lead as Pittsburgh recovered to begin a march toward their first Super Bowl championship. For the Bills, a year of glory ended in pain. The following year, the juice helped avenge the loss to the world champions, but the Bills watched a 4-0 start fade to a finish out of the playoffs. A Monday night loss in Week 1 against Miami set the tone for an unfulfilling 1976 season. In 1977, O.J.'s memorable career in Buffalo came to a close. It was the end of one era, but the beginning of another. Steely Chuck Knox won 5 games in 78, 7 in 79, and by 1980, his Bills could beat anyone. Rookie sensation Joe Cribbs blazed a 1,000-yard trail as the Bills rolled to 5 straight victories and bolted to the front of the AFC Eastern Division chase. Against the Rams in Week 14, the Bills played one of the most emotional games in their 25-year history.
And now it's up to Nick Mickemeyer. The crowd murmuring in anticipation. Waiting for the snap is David Hum. There's the snap. The kick is long enough, and it is good! The Bills have won it in overtime with a field goal by has got to dig in now, or the season could be lost. The Bills need to hold them to win their first division title since '66. 2 seconds to play. There's the long throw toward the end zone, and it is deflected, incomplete, and the game is over. And the Bills have won the division championship. What a dramatic finish in the fog and the rain of San Francisco.
Playing on one ankle, Joe Ferguson couldn't pull off a playoff miracle against San Diego. A healthy Ferguson had the Bills back in the playoffs a year later, and his 2 touchdown passes to Frank Lewis helped the Bills to a 24-0 lead. The Jets, however, roared back, and Buffalo needed another Simpson to save the day.
And oh, what drama in Shea Stadium. Richard Todd looking, he throws it, intercepted by Bill Simpson, and with 2 seconds left, the Bills are going to win it.
Kay Stevenson succeeded Knox in 1983, and against Miami, his Bills played their best.
The crowd is roaring. The Dolphins are leading 35-28. Ferguson, he throws, touchdown, Joe Cliff.
Ferguson had his finest day as a pro, opening the door for Joe Danello in overtime.
Here's the try by Joe Danello. There's the put down, the kick. It's long enough, and it is good. And the Bills have beaten the Miami Dolphins in the Orange Bowl for the first time since 1966.
For the 1984 Buffalo Bills, one moment is frozen in time. A November Sunday against America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, when the Bills rode a wave of emotion and effort that produced one of the stunning upsets of any season.
12 seconds to play. The Bills come to the line of scrimmage at the Jets' 31-yard line. Ferguson waiting, dropping back in the pocket, looking to throw. He throws toward the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown. Unbelievable. Frank Lewis, a touchdown. What a play. Frank Lewis made the reception with 6 seconds left, and the Bills have taken the lead, and they are mobbing Frank Lewis. Oh, what a play.
For 2.5 decades, Bills fans have been one of the most vocal and loyal armies in the league. And their hometown favorites have rewarded them with a scrapbook of magic moments and fantastic finishes. In 1965, running back Billy Joe beat the Raiders with 24 seconds left. Haygood Clark's interception of George Blanda with 27 seconds to play preserved a dramatic 27-20 win over the Oilers in 1966. A Mike Mercer field goal on the final play put the Jets out of their misery in 1967. And a year later, the Super Bowl-bound New Yorkers beached on the shores of Lake Erie as Buffalo intercepted 5 Joe Namath passes and returned 3 for touchdowns in a stunning upset. O.J. Simpson, the man with the big play personality, victimized the Steelers in 1972 with the longest run in Bills history, a 94-yard scoring gallop. Trailing Baltimore in 1973, the Bills clearly needed divine intervention. Ferguson hooked up with Bob Chandler to tie the count, and Dwight Harrison returned an interception for a touchdown on the game's final play to leave the Colts speechless. A critical Monday night opener with Oakland in 1974 remained in doubt until Ahmad Rashad found a crease in the Raider secondary with just seconds remaining. The final minute belonged to the Bills once more as the juice broke away in Shea to beat the Jets 24-23 in 1975. The main course on Thanksgiving Day, 1976, was the NFL single-game rushing record, which O.J. Simpson served up with the precision of an accomplished chef. drumming the Lions to the tune of 273 yards. Maryland safety Tony Green entered his name in the Buffalo record book with an end-to-end interception return of 101 yards versus Kansas City in 1976. Keith Moody made something special of the special teams with his record 91-yard punt return against Cleveland in 1977, a piece of cutback mastery. Former Missouri star Curtis Brown bounced out of a pile of Colts to take a 1978 kickoff back all the way and matched the longest return in Bills annals, 102 yards. Aside from the Juice, 3 other Buffalo runners have totaled 200 yards in a single game, including Terry Miller, who did it against the Giants in 1978. Jerry Butler left the Jets secondary in tatters in 1979 when he picked the airways clean, turning in 255 yards, a Bills one-game record. Running back Roland Hooks, number 25, was a twisting terror against the Cincinnati Bengals with a 4-touchdown day. But his most memorable role was against New England in 1981 in a game that appeared hopelessly lost.
So where there's life, there's hope. No timeouts left. In the shotgun, throwing long down the middle for Roland Hooks. He's got it. What a reception. Down to the 35-yard line. And here they come. They have the 3 wideouts to the right. 12 seconds left. Dropping back in the pocket, looking. There's the Hail Mary, headed for the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown! Caught for a touchdown! I don't believe it! Caught for a touchdown! I don't believe it either. I think it was Hooks, but we'll just wait. A remarkable play. Never in my life have I seen an ending like this one. It is Roland Hooks.
Fitting.
Roland Hooks.
Poetic justice.
Oh, what an amazing play.
Buffalo Bills football, a roller coaster ride of emotions. They have come in every shape and size, from big schools and small. Some excelled with acrobatic grace. Others put their backs into their work. Buffalo has been blessed with an assortment of personalities and a cadre of mighty men. Defense has been a Buffalo hallmark for 25 years. Number 72, defensive end Ron McDowell, was one of the Bills' first truly tough guys. Mike Stratton is best remembered for his championship game hit on Keith Lincoln, but Lincoln was not his only victim. Four-time All-AFL safety George Sames had a career total of 22 pass interceptions, but had to share top billing in the Buffalo secondary with physical cornerback Butch Bird. Bird led the Bills in career interceptions, and number 51, John Tracy, found a new career after being converted from tight end to outside linebacker, where he found hitting more enjoyable than being hit. Free agent Robert James would have made Clint Eastwood blink. An intimidating defender, number 20 played in 3 Pro Bowls. Safety Tony Green offered proof positive that size is a state of mind. At 5'10", he blossomed into one of the premier defensive backs of the 70s. Clutch interceptions were the trademark of safety Steve Freeman, number 22. and helmet-rattling hits the calling card of Shane Nelson, number 59. Linebackers Jim Haslett and Eugene Marv. Pocket-busting defensive end Ben Williams and Fred Smerlas, number 76, carry on the tradition today. The Bills' defensive personality was blue-collar, work ethic, swing shift, and overtime. The offense presented a far different face, but the line that carved out 2 AFL titles had much in common with their defensive brethren. Center Al B. Miller, tackle Stu Barber, and guard Billy Shaw, number 66, were no-nonsense soldiers, ideally suited for trench warfare. Shaw, one of the AFL's best, relentlessly swept runners like Ray Carlton into the end zone. How best to describe Cookie Gilchrist, a thundering giant of a man whose deeds were Bunyan-esque. Gilchrist was the AFL's first 1,000-yard rusher, a pile-driving presence always in search of the end zone. Gilchrist was raw power. Jack Kemp was innovative and resourceful. Kemp could always find an open target like golden wheels to Benyon. Disaster quarterback Ed Rutkowski, number 40, Tom Flores, and Darryl LaMonica each stood behind center for Buffalo in the 60s. In 1968, the Bills' starter for 3 games was Florida product Kay Stevenson. Quarterback Dennis Shaw and J.D. Hill captured the fancy of the fans in the early 70s. Joe Ferguson capitalized on the talents of Ahmad Rashad and gymnastic Bob Chandler to rank among the NFL's top 20 passers. In the 80s, Ferguson's attentions turned to cagey Frank Lewis and flashy Jerry Butler. Joe DeLamalure and Joe Devlin helped spring runners like Jim Braxton, a punishing package for any defender. No offensive player appeared in more games than Reggie McKenzie, who began convoying the juice around the corner and finished as an escort for Joe Cribbs. And then there were 2 men of special consequence. One was Tom Sestak, tight end at McNeese State, ignored until the 17th round of the '62 draft. The other was O.J. Simpson, glamour guy of the SC Trojans, Heisman winner, and number 1 pick. Sestak moved from offense to defense and became one of the AFL's dominant players. He could always be found at the bottom of the pile. He stretched himself to the limit on every snap. Tom Sestak toiled. Success came easier to O.J. Simpson. If Sestak was a 60s warrior, the juice was a 70s phenomenon. He bolted across the pro football firmament like a shooting star. He climbed Everest, flew the ocean alone, cracked the limits of outer space. A new yardstick to measure the bright college boys of tomorrow and tomorrow. It was amusing watching frenzied quarterbacks flee, only to find the waiting arms of Sestak. It seemed almost unfair watching outclassed defenders scramble across the AstroTurf as the juice vanished into the NFL record book. Sestak played hurt, but always maintained his good humor. In War Memorial Stadium, where reputations were not easily won, Sestak was a one-man wrecking crew. His one-armed tackles were occasionally accompanied by an explicit lecture after the whistle. O.J. was a media favorite who made writers and broadcasters dig deep to describe his rushing heroics each Sunday. Tom Sestak, a defensive lineman of mystical proportion and Buffalo's first Hall of Famer, O.J. Simpson. Mighty men indeed. On the shores of Lake Erie, the city had a dream that one day they'd embrace a beloved hometown team. A team of their own to warm winter chills. A team that became the Buffalo Bills. In creaky War Memorial, the dream came alive. The Bills were league kings in '64 and '65. A future congressman threw to a speedster with golden wheels. And a runner named Juice shattered records beneath his dancing heels. A steamed-up Billy Shaw. Smurless firing up the crowd. Bob Chandler leaving the fans in awe. And people in the streets talking proud.
Here come the Bills to the line of scrimmage. This team is playing inspired football. The stands are going crazy. Ferguson rolling out, looking, throws toward the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. Caught by Roosevelt. A great grab for the touchdown. And pandemonium reigns at Rich Stadium. The streak is over. Long live the streak.
In 1984, when expectations fell, a Dallas defeat was told by Greg Bell.
First down for the Bills in the I formation with Denard the wide out to the left and a handoff and up the middle and breaking out to the 30 is Greg Bell, and Bell is on his way to the 40, to the 30. Greg Bell scores a touchdown on an 85-yard run on the first play from scrimmage.
An anniversary story, 25 years down memory lane, with more years of glory than there were years of pain.